warm welcome, Yugandhari, ma'am. It's our pleasure to have you here today. Could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, sure. I'm Yugandhari, and I've been working in Amazon for the past 5 years. I'm a data engineer in Amazon.
How did you get into this journey, data engineering? First data science project. How did you feel doing it? You told us that you deal with the ELT and ETL pipelines, right? Could you please, tell us what exactly they are? Do you think the skill is actually required, or just the certification is that you've landed your internship and job at Amazon? Any student, will aspire to be there. So how did you come across to happen that? What skills would you, like to recommend to them? Should be a roadmap to the student in order to becoming a data scientist or get into data engineering. A warm welcome, Yugandhari, ma'am. It's our pleasure to have you here today. Could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, sure. I'm Yugandhari, and I've been working in Amazon for the past 5 years. And as part of Amazon, I'm a data engineer in Amazon. So I work on ETL, ELT, data warehousing, data platform, mostly data related, stuff. So yeah, just this me.
So let's get to the beginning of all of this. How did you get into this journey, data engineering?
So actually, a funny story, I was not interested in data engineering in the first, but I was a part of a Click data analysis project which Siddharth Ghosh sir was my training placement department when I was studying in VHIT. So sir was like, give it a shot. So that is how when I was doing the project, I was very impressed by the fact that from data, how much information you can get. We were doing a project of where should the particular e-commerce company should start, which locations they have to invest, which locations they should stop investing in and all. So that actually helped me to understand data. And then Amazon came and they offered data engineering intern role, and I was like, let me get started. Then the kind of work I was doing in data, I started with an AWS cloud project, infrastructure as cloud project, and that has literally changed my view on data. So this is how I started with data engineering, and then I started realizing how good of a career that is, and how you can just play around with data. You can see what you can do with data and managing it and all. So that's how I got into data.
Would you like to tell us about your first data science project? How did you feel doing it?
So as I mentioned, the first any project related to data which I've done was a Click data analysis. So while I was doing that, one thing which I was very curious is how can I visualize data? What else can I find? What else can I dig deeper into? And that curiosity actually made me, get into, take business calls, business decisions. Even though it's not an actual real time, it's a simulation, but still that curiosity, right? That once that starts, right, you really want to dig even more deeper. Should I start? Should I continue? What else I can find? So that was how, the curiosity was a major part of my first data, project which I worked on. And then the visualization also, when you visualize the patterns you see in the data, the kind of analysis you see, that was a really
majorly the visualization, the curiosity, it all pulled you together to get into data engineering.
Definitely.
So you told us that you deal with the ELT and ETL pipelines, right? Could you please tell us what exactly they are?
Sure, I would tell this with an example. So even when I started working as an intern, obviously had no idea what ETL, ELT is, but so if you see an organization, right, you get data from different sources, and then you curate and then you send it. So ETL means extract, transform and load. So extract is the part where the source does. So source gets a data, for example, Amazon application. So in the back end, let's say if I am visiting a page, it stores the data. So that is the source teams, they extract this data, and then they the data which is extracted can be in JSON format or any other unstructured format. They transform it. Transform in the sense how it can go into CSV or TSV backend, and then they load into an S3 or some other place where the downstream team, the curators, we were the curators. So how we can use that is ETL. When we are coming to ELT, first thing we are extracting from the data which our source is sending us. Then we load into our tables because we want to do our analytics, our curations, or our aggregations we mostly call. Like for example, if let's say we are getting some raw data that for this particular I would say ki one particular user had used a product. So let's say there's some 10 rows. What we do is when we load into a table, we kind of do a transformation or curation ki okay, this particular user, how many products he had viewed, what are the categories this product, like are there books, toys, like what we call it a GL product group. GL product is nothing but like categories. So what categories? So that is how we do. So curators normally go for an ELT mode, whereas the source goes for an ETL. So that is the difference between ETL and ELT.
Okay. The fact that I would tell you now, the fact that I tell will not be any different for you because you were just a student like us.
Yes.
So basically in college you might have done many certifications, you were told to do many certifications, it must have been like that. So do you think all these certifications are actually useful? We students get lots of to do, we are not being very sincere and doing it all this thing, right? So do you think the skill is actually required or just the certification is?
Actually, the skill is actually required. Even as I was a student, I was like, so I'm not sure if GCP certifications are one of the major ones which we were told to do. That time we were like, okay, in resume one certification is being added, so let's just do it. But when I started working in Amazon, so like the same cloud, just a different platform. The first very project which I got to work was on a complete AWS cloud. So I had no idea about cloud because that was a certification I had done to put in resume. So definitely it didn't help me. What I thought ki let's say if I would have put some effort into knowing that or like learning the skill at that time, not just certification, that would have helped. Later, like when you start working, right, when you have to learn something from scratch, in the start it is difficult because you need to manage both work. It's like learning and doing. So definitely if you get an opportunity before you start working to learn a new skill which industry is kind of more into, I would suggest just learn the skill, do the certification. Don't be like me, struggle later, like do and learn. So if you're doing certification, just learn it and do it. Yeah.
And also, we know that you have this AWS certification as solution architect.
Yes.
So how did that professionally help you?
Definitely. So it's a funny story behind it. So actually, as I told, I started working on that cloud project, right? So while I was working on cloud project, I was very interested at that fact. So in Amazon, right, there is a mentoring tool where you can go and get search the mentors you wanted. So that time I was like, okay, you know what? Let me move from DE to SDE, like data engineering to software development. Let me see. For that, I had taken that mentor. She was a software development manager. So how it happens is that you schedule meetings with them every 3 months once or depending on the schedule. So I had a monthly connect with her. So as part of that connect, I just mentioned her that these are projects which I had done. So that is why I'm trying if I can get into SD. She just sent me an invite one day. There is one training program for women in Amazon happening in Luxembourg. So it is like a online you can attend. So that was solution architect training. So there's a set of committee. They kind of prepare their notes. They kind of tell. And that when I started, I just told my manager that I am doing this particular program. So every Tuesday 2 hours will go into that. He was like, it's good, start for certification. That's when I started by like every Tuesday that class, and weekends I started preparing, and that's how I completed my solution certification. The advantage which I got is I was able to get a complete clear picture of how this cloud work in the backend. Like for example, now if I want to go and work in a GCP like cloud or Azure, I know what is the behind understanding or how it works in the back end. So it is very easy for me to adapt to new technologies, like to learn new technologies, because at the back end is everything same, just how you use it is different. So that certification, it just came to me randomly, but it definitely helped me in understanding like what are other services which I can use which I didn't use. So that is how I got into solution architect and the advantages of it.
That's lovely, ma'am. And also we know that you've landed your internship and job at Amazon. Any student will aspire to be there. So how did you come across to happen that
so the one with Amazon like internship, it was like a mass hiring event for all the colleges in Andhra and Telangana, and I was a part of VJIT. So VJIT also registered in that event. So I went, I've given the interviews. I did not expect I will get. So after the first round of interview, I was sure ki okay, I think I may get in data set. I called my mom after first round and I started crying ki I don't think I'll get. My mom was like, it's okay, you have other offers. But at the end of the second round, when they told me I was selected, I was like, okay, wow. And that is how this, like journey started. And then once you're in the team, you clear, like once you want to move from an intern to full time, you need to raise the bar in your intern. My internship was a very long 8 months internship it was. So I got good number of projects. As a good team I joined initially. So, and that's how I raised the bar. I got converted and then promoted. Yeah, it just started from that.
That is very nice to hear. And also to anybody who wants to be a data engineer, what skills would you like to recommend to them to without any delay? The student has to learn it in order to become this.
Definitely. One thing what I would strongly suggest is SQL. So SQL is part and parcel of data engineering, and now SQL has also become a very important factor for other roles like SDA, program analyst, everything. Because initially the teams were in such a way that the data is handled by entire data engineering team. SDs will only take care of development. But now the organizations are moving in such a way that a data engineer will do 70% with data, SQL and all, 30% development. SDs in the reverse, they'll do 70% development, 30% SQL, like this, like querying and all. So it's important for students to first start with, SQL. When I mean, it's not just the basic, like querying or basic, like basic functions. I would suggest you to go for the advanced functions, like for example, row number, partitioning, windows filtering, all these things. Because in real life, like when you come to an organization, that is one thing which will help. Second thing is understanding how data pipelines are designed. Like if you get for one list, for example, like Amazon as an application in the backend, when you understand how it is getting loaded, like it's loaded into like one layer. Let's say that we can call that a first layer, and then you aggregate it, you transform it. Like understanding the backend of any application, you can take Uber or anything. All these in the backend are driven by data. So that understanding of how data flows from one point to another is one of the major skills which students have to let's start with. I think the other skills are Python, and now big data has like come like this thing. So I would suggest to start Spark, not advanced Spark, but it is the starting of Spark SQL or how Spark as an infrastructure is developed. So yeah, these are the major things which I would suggest to students.
Since we are talking about SQL, I would like to ask, people debate whether we are being taught SQL, honestly, but when we go out into the companies and see it's all MongoDB and all used. So what do you say? We have to study MongoDB or SQL? What do you recommend?
So in the, like for example, if you're understanding the functioning of how a particular query is, not query exactly, how a function, like for example, select function. If you understand the functionality of it, in SQL it would be select, in MongoDB it must be something else. Just the terminology will change, but the backend function will not change. So rather than concentrating only on like how like the terminology, concentrate on the function behind it. Because when you start with a new database, what changes for you is just the term, like select here can be something, where here can be something else. But ideally, like takes SQL as an English. That is what one of our very first professors in college taught. If you see SQL in terms of an English, that is very important, because SQL is simple. Like when I'm telling a select star from a table, where it's very simple. Like it's starting from the table, select it, put filter and gives the columns. So that understanding will not change. Like I was going through some code in this thing very recently. There it had some not matched and all this. When not matched is equal to not 10 in SQL. So that is how, like if you understand basic English, like if you see SQL as basic English, that will kind of help you with any database or anything, because in the back end it's all the same functionality, just the terms vary, that's it.
So since you are experienced, we would like to ask you, like, what should be a roadmap to the student in order to becoming a data scientist or get into data engineering?
Okay, so first thing what I would suggest is I would ask the student to first differentiate what path they want in, because let's say data analysis is different, data engineering is different, data science is different. So in data itself there are multiple fields. So first thing, you can start with a project in each sector. Like you get so many simulated projects projects online. You can just go search for multiple things. So when you start working on different kind of roles related projects, you'll understand which one you are very interested in. If you are intrigued by one, just start doing another one in the same. So that is how you will build. So first, if you're clear on what you want to, like what kind of work interests you, then you'll be able to make a decision. So first start with that. Second thing, let's say if you're into data engineering, as I'm in data engineering, there are many actual wonderful courses which you get in Coursera and all these things for data engineering. So I think there are multiple universities also in Coursera which give professional certifications. Start with that because they're already well-defined, streamlined process of learning. So you can start with any of the good courses. That is how when you get into it, then start doing projects. The first projects what you have done is just to like identify your interest. Next, take it to a next level. Take a good project, a problem statement, or like you have so many YouTube channels. I was going through one other day where they do projects end to end. He explains how you're building it, what is actually good. So maybe you can start from there, build those projects, add them into your repositories, and then that is how a streamlined process is. Like if you're starting as a student.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like you are into data engineering, but since you told there are different sectors, data analytics and data manipulation and all. So how is data engineering helping them all? I mean, like how is this associated to data engineering?
Sure. So I will tell the difference. So data engineering is a system or is a role where you kind of store this data in a very good format. Let's say if I'm getting millions of records or I'm getting petabytes of data, I as a data engineer should know how I should store it in effective, so that the downstream teams can be a data analysis team or data science team. So how good can they use my data? So that is how a data engineer looks at the data, or that's the role of a data engineer. When it comes to data analysis is a team which uses this data with the data engineer at streamlined. So they use this data analysts, and they will kind of visualize or get insights from it. But data science is a completely different stream. So what data science does is, I'll tell one use case. So in Amazon, reviews, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a review for each product. Yes. So when you kind of get those reviews, what data science team does is now I'm not sure if you noticed it, but in Amazon app or website, right, you get a summary of the reviews for any project. So how is that working is at the back end, so data science team is taking the data from the data engineering platform, like what the data engineering team had streamlined. They are running an ML model on top of it, like an NLP model, and they are getting what is the, like how is it, like what is summary of the reviews. Let's say for a product it says the product design is good, the product usability is good, but the reviews also mentioning it is very fragile. So it gives a summary so that a customer can understand, like, okay, should I go based on my use case, should I go for this or not? If not, you will just go for the other thing rather than you going through each and every review and saying it's good or bad. So that is how the difference between data analysis, engineering and data science on a high level.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also we would like to know, you are working in a very a huge company, Amazon. So we would like to know, how were you as a student?
Okay.
In the sense, like now we basically students, we study before tomorrow the exam, we study today night.
I know.
So how did you experience all this? How is this all experience to you when you were as a student?
Actually, one good thing which I had done while I was a student is I had this, my friends used to call me out on that thing. So my college and my home are like 30 kilometers far. So I used to travel in college bus. So whatever classes I've been taught, obviously everyone make notes. At least I had an habit of making notes. So while going back, I just used to skim through the notes, not learn completely. So when I skim through the notes, I said, okay, there might be a possibility that I might forget it if I'm not skimming through the notes. So when I skim through the notes, I understand, okay, this is what they have been taught. Till that day, it is closed. Next day, let's say when I am studying for the interview, as I already have skimmed through the notes, I have an idea on what has been taught to me. So then it's even last minute when I'm studying, it helps me recollect things. That is the advantage you do if if you're just skimming through your running notes just at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that will trust me, that's going to really help students to get into. So as I had that habit, right, once I started working in Amazon as an intern or something, every project or every work, so as I told, I had to learn so much in the start, like especially these skills. At the end of every week, I used to evaluate, or you used to just go through the notes I have written for, let's say, AWS cloud or anything. That would help me recollect the things which I forgot, and when I've given the actual certification, even though I missed learning a few things, some or the other it's stuck in my brain. Okay, this I learned, I just skimmed through when I was like going over the notes. That clicks. So it was not a huge transition for me, but it just helped me. That process actually helped me. That mindset helped me.
Our student mentality is like, if somebody is in a very big company, we think, okay, they must have worked very hard. Okay, if that's not gonna happen with us, we'll just leave. That's what our mentality is. So how would you say it is otherwise?
It is definitely otherwise, because see, you need to have fun a responsible way. Like what I mean, have fun. You might ask, fun you're telling, responsible it is not sitting. But no, that's gonna really help. What I mean, like I'll tell one story of like what happened. Okay, so there is this one of our friends' birthday. We are in the same class, so we are like a huge gang. So for his birthday, all of us bunked the call. The entire class was almost empty. The next day, faculty came. Obviously, faculty will notice that they had seen us in the bus, but we're not in the classroom. Next day, all the IT faculty walked into the classroom, and they're like, yesterday, who all are not, just stand up. Then they were like, we have the names, are you standing up? Entire class was standing up. We got a a huge a warning and lecture from how can you do these things and all. But they never don't take any action on it, because they knew the students, even though they're having fun for one day, in exams they are showing. Like let's say, even though if the next day we had an assignment, everyone completed it on time. So that is what I mean by having fun responsibly. You can definitely take a break of 1 or 2 days, go hang out, have fun. We call it bunking in student language.
Yeah.
You can still do that, but you should not be completely into it.
Yeah.
In a week, one day you're going out or 2 days you're going, the remaining days you need to get what you missed in that 1 or 2 days, and then you start. So, and for example, the other way, like let's say you're only into studies, not having fun and all. Once you come into corporate world, it's definitely not like that. It's not just only work, because in a corporate world, it's not only work, it's also how you communicate with others, how are you vibing with others. Let's say if you never tried how to vibe or communicate, or you don't know how to have fun, it's not going to help you, because people are very different when you come to corporate, because from different backgrounds, different regions people come. So if you don't know how to connect, there might be a high possibility that you may not climb that corporate ladder, because you work, but you have to showcase your work. In order to showcase your work, you need to know how to talk to people. If you had that experience of being very friendly, having fun, that helps you. So I would suggest, have responsible fun. There were also times where we were made us sit and have given lectures, you guys are crossing lines and all, but that helped us. That helped us see a different perspective. Like when I moved to corporate, it was not a huge deal for me, because I was always like that. I was having my fun and still studying. The same with all the rest of my gang. They're also having their fun, but they're still studying. So it just balances out. So yeah.
And also a mentor plays a very crucial role. So did you have any mentors like that? How did they help you out?
Definitely. So one mentor was my actual mentor in college. So Brahmramba ma'am, in today also, I went over an event today, so even there also I was mentioning about her. So Brahmramba ma'am is such a person, as she was a mentor for 3 years straight. So she knows in and out of me. So she played a huge typical role for me in there were times where I was crossing my limit, like I was having too much of fun. I was kind of leaving my studies behind. One day she sat me down. She had in a computer lab where there's no, she took me out, she sat me down and just started explaining the differences which I which she's seeing in how I perform and how I study. I was like, when she had shown me that picture, I was like, yes, I'm not realizing, but I'm actually losing a lot, because I stopped writing my running notes. I've stopped going to the notes in while I was going back in bus and all. So that she was definitely a very good mentor for me to get back onto track. She helped me see the things which I was not seeing, because I was a rebellious kid, rebellious student and all. So she was one of the very first mentors I had. Other one is Siddharth Ghosh sir. So he was my placement sir then. So there's another student named Himaja. So me and Himaja after the college, we used to sit with Siddharth Ghosh sir, and he used to tell us what are the industry currently is into, because while during in college, especially 5 years back, not much had an awareness of what is actually happening in especially product based industries. So Siddharth Ghosh sir, he explained, in fact he called most of us, but we were the only two like we want to know what is happening, because it was after college. So we sat in his cabin in college, and then he used to explain, learn this, do that will help you learn this. Competitive programming is a huge thing now, but 5 years back it was not, because it was like no one had an expectation or realization on what is the difference between what is being taught in your curriculum and what is being used in the industry. But it was sir who first helped us like bridge that gap. So definitely find a mentor who knows what is happening in industry, so that they can help you like realize what are things you are missing and you need to work on before you step into corporate world. And next, I found multiple mentors when I was in Amazon, and those are my corporate mentors who helped me, realize, like as I mentioned, the SDM whom I connected with, she made me realize how much I like the cloud part, or AWS cloud, or any kind of cloud. And I had other mentors who would teach me or tutor me on what kind of work I have to do if I'm in a particular role, because that also matters. So yeah, like I had like a different set of mentors, but definitely mentor makes a whole lot of change for you. So yeah.
So what was that time when you realized you're going from away, you got back on your track, or else are we too late?
I mean, what I would say is it is never too late. Because when I realized I was going off the track, I was already by the time completing my third year. And as you're aware, the placements start from end of third year, or at the start of like fourth year or something. I was already very late. But when my mentor, she helped me realize what I was going down, then I quickly started like looking into things which I had to concentrate. Like my priority as I'm at the end of third year is for placements.
Yeah.
I was not the the first in class in the theory part in like college, this thing, like I was some 5th or 6th. But for me the priority was not my this thing, because it's not like I'm failing. I have a good CGPA. It just reduced a bit, but it's okay. I can build that up in exams. But let's say if I'm not prioritizing learning this competitive programming or something which will help in my placements, I will miss out. So I started prioritizing what I have to first focus on and what my end goal is. My end goal was always to land into a product-based company. So that was my end goal, started working backwards. Okay, my priority first is like SQL for training, like for this thing, or competitive programming, or learning a new skill or something. And then came my this thing, because like for me my priority was this way. So set an end goal, what you want to do, and then plan it backwards. That is how it will help you prioritize when you realize very lately that you're off track. So that you can do. Yeah.
So basically in a class or in a college there are different kinds of students who excel in theory, but they just go and get back down in the coding and all. So what kind of student were you? Like basically,
please continue.
And also we feel like there are few subjects that I don't think this is required in my syllabus. I don't think this is necessary. Chalo lightly lo jaisa we think of it. So how do you say what is it actually?
So for me, like there were certain subjects which I didn't think I would pass, especially the EC subjects which are added. They were too difficult for me, because obviously that was not my interest. But the reason I had to get good score in also that, because it affects my overall CGPA. Like in placements, if you see, there are certain companies which only select a few students. It is a preliminary round, the screening part, a certain CGPA. Let's say if the company is a dream company, but let's say we're not having CGPA because you did not have an interest and you thought that those subjects are not useful for you, so you must have taken up light or left it with just passing marks. But that affected your entire CGPA, and you are not able to get into that first initial screening, because if you cleared that initial screening, you'll definitely land a job, because that is your dream career, you worked for it. So even though you're not interested in particular subjects and you think it is not used, just for the sake of at least maintaining your CGPA, try to give it your best, how much ever you can do. That is one. And second thing, I was a student who was always into practical things. Like if you see me, right, how I am not in the class, because I'm either in some hackathon or some coding contest or something. My faculty is like, will you never come to the classes? Like, I have permission. Just first stop those permissions for you. That is how they used to react, because I'm mostly into like this practical part. But as I mentioned, when I'm back, I used to get the notes from other toppers in the class. They used to make notes to get copied, and then I used to study for it during exams or before exams. So you need to know how to balance it out.
Yeah.
So that is one of the major things. So yeah, these two I think will help. Yeah.
As you mentioned hackathons, so hackathon, how really it helps the students?
Oh, definitely. Because one hackathon which actually made me see an end-to-end picture was the hackathon happening like that time. Anurag was CVSR.
Yeah.
So it was a 48-hour hackathon. So I was me and my team, we were a part of that CVSR hackathon, and that in 48 hours we were asked to come up with our own problem statement, design it, build it, and deploy and test it. So that was the first time when I realized how end-to-end things work in an application, or in like in certain project, because in a project, let's say for a data science project, you get data from Kaggle or somewhere, and then you kind of did, but it's not an end-to-end, because the first initial step is also, okay, how do you procure that data? What you're doing is you're taking a procured set of data, using it, and this project does not help you understand how it works end to end. But a hackathon helps you realize how much you can do in that 48 hours. And let's say if you're not giving a working solution, but it will help you see things where are the things which I'm currently lacking, firstly. Where are the things which I need to learn more about it, and it will help you, like set these things. So time management, one thing definitely you'll learn in hackathon, because you need to. Other one is communicating within the team members, because in hackathon you are in a team. So we were a team where one person was very good with coding, one person was very good with testing. So you will know your skills, like the individual skills, and that's how you plan. So a team member management is one of the crucial skills when you come into corporate, because you need to know how you communicate with your colleagues in projects and how to manage. So that's one of the important things you learn in a hackathon. So if you are getting a chance, try as many hackathons as possible. Either you will learn, and another thing is we did not even know there are certain stuff, but when we googled, especially at that time, we learn new skills also over there you learn. So it's definitely a good thing to try hackathons.
Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. It was very nice talking to you, and thanks for giving us the insights. It was very helpful for us.
Thank you so
very
much for having me. Thank you.